some of that, sorry. Let me make sure I got it on the room.
Oh, so that's an additional 60, holy cow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
Okay, so, couple things.
You have an extra?
Oh,
Here, you can have one.
okay, thanks, sorry, Ryan, I made a dozen, I wasn't sure how many, but I just wanna. All right, so couple general overview things. First off, this is an all-in estimate. It has even the shooting range, it has the parking garage, it has absolutely everything that's been discussed and has been on the table in the program. It has not been broken apart yet. It is currently broken out to show the site costs, the library costs themselves, the town hall costs, and the administration building costs, kind of broken into groups. As I mentioned, I highlighted where contingencies and things are built in. This is a complete project budget, so there are soft costs layered on top. And you can see where some of the highlights, you know, how much contingency is built into this estimate. We're at such an early stage. I mean, you can debate and judge and decide you want less, or this is too much contingency. You can decide to set the budget lower. But this is where we started from. We wanted to put it all out there, so you had a chance to review all the information up front, and then guide us how you want to finalize it for this piece of the process.
2,000 feet.
Well, the garage is 30 of it. I mean, so that's when we were talking about the cost of the garage. I mean, we maximize the footprint, 30,000 square feet.
But we're only in one plan, no garage. And then, what scares me is these numbers going public,
Right.
we are going to go nowhere.
Absolutely. Let's not get those numbers out of the public.
That's, well, I mean, we are.
And how did we get to 30,000, 32,000 feet net
I mean,
for administration and police?
So there's a whole lot of stuff here.
So I thought we were at 14 for the police, and we had about 4.8 for the.
we have 9 for the library.
No, without the library. For the library. It's 62,795 gross for the police and
And
administration.
then the program sheet.
That's 32,000 feet for the
So,
police and administration. That's like double, it's like,
Double, and 30.
not quite double, but we thought it was gonna be 20. So that's 50%
So
bigger.
police is 15, because that, right now, the ancillary building program is in the basement. So the police were 14, and the ancillary building was about 1,300, so it's all together at the moment. Then planning and building were about 2,200, 2,300. City management was 1,900, and then there were a series of common areas that were about 7,000 square feet. So
What are the series of common areas?
Well, we have duplicity.
council chambers.
We have too many common areas, and then.
So they were included in the police, yeah, it's just got.
There's too many common areas.
Yeah,
And
so
there are
we're-
1,000, they're all big, so we need to figure out, can we work with one or two?
common areas.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the police has their own
Well, I think
entrance.
we have to look at this stuff
Were
and
we
say,
given this, Elizabeth, or is that something you
how
just
do
got?
we use this stuff?
We never got it.
So that we have,
What's that, detail? Yeah, that was last meeting.
We got, okay.
yeah, you have the whole program.
We got it, okay.
so, I don't know where we go. This is not that many.
Yeah.
But again, as Cheryl mentioned, there's about $20 million of that are
It's
the built-in
contingency.
contingency
And escalation.
and escalation.
I think I would be very scared about these numbers getting into the public. Because we're gonna have to go on fundraising.
Yeah,
And
there's
if
no,
we talk about 28 million or even 40 million fundraising, that's a lot.
28 million is,
Never gonna happen.
oh, I wouldn't say 28 isn't gonna happen. 40 or 28 or more. And then 28 would be great if we worked like heck.
Mhm.
And I don't wanna be doing this as my life's work.
Mhm.
Well, as I just mentioned, 20 million of the 67 is contingency. So that drops it to 47. Of the 47, about 9 million of that's library potential costs. So you take that off, and then you're down to 38 or so.
Well, I'm-
Still a lot.
I'm happy.
It's
And
still a
how
lot,
much is
yeah.
infrastructure, like, not infrastructure, like roads?
Site
and
development.
Site development.
A lot.
Still a lot. But we still have to do it.
Well,
I can talk to that because that's.
site development.
I'm happy to hear you say 28 million is possibility.
The site development
I'm just saying
costs,
it's something to aim at that could be thought as, some people that still think we're crazy.
the site development costs alone are about 3.5 million, and then once they're factored up for overhead and profit, general conditions, and contingencies, they're over 5 million. It's on page 32. And that is also not associating any soft costs with the site development costs.
And we'd also point out that a portion of that would also be eligible for library funding because, I mean, roughly, 40% of the site, something like that, is associated with the library. So, and that's not part of the $9 million construction cost you were mentioning.
10% general conditions, pretty big as far as.
Yeah, there's some
It is.
huge contingencies in there.
There are some very big
Because,
contingencies.
Gordon did a presentation this morning during the staff meeting where we talked about these numbers. And Gordon, I'm gonna steal your analysis about attributing it to him. He mentioned it like a cone. Right now, we're at the very, very top of the cone. We don't know a lot of detail. But as you go through the architectural process and narrow things down, you're gonna pencil out these numbers a lot closer to actuality and get that smaller number you're talking about, because we're gonna know what it's for.
And I think that was your point, Steve, which is as you manage the process and when you get into the design, that's our job as staff with your direction is to manage that design so that they stay within those budgets so that those contingencies, which right now are unknowns, can become known and can really tend towards zero if you want.
I think, just very roughly, it's almost $1,000 a square foot.
Crazy.
Yeah,
It is
complete
crazy.
project costs
Yeah.
with all the full site development.
Yeah,
Single
buildings.
two-story building.
I mean, commercial buildings do
Yeah.
not cost $1,000 a square foot, fully loaded with
No,
furnishings and everything.
and the building portions by themselves are much more in the ballpark for something, 4 to 5 something. But when you throw in the garage and the full site development cost burden and all the soft costs, it really marks it up
Can I ask
quite
a question?
significantly.
We are at a week before Christmas. This is a shock, okay, and that this is really more than a little increase.
Yes.
And I personally want to say, it's gonna need a lot, you should put a lot more work into this to reduce it before it comes coming. And I don't want to, you guys get hired for excellence. So I think, I'm looking at the staff to say, what do we do?
Well, we want
And maybe
feedback.
Maybe you put it off till February's meeting, because we're not gonna be ready in the middle of January.
And it
Well-
should not be presented to the council.
No.
The reason it was presented to the committee tonight is to give you that opportunity.
Exactly.
To give some feedback to staff so we can work with a consultant to narrow these things down.
Right.
There's things in here about the large contingencies. There's a line item in there about art, which is a percentage of the budget.
Yeah.
Because you might want some
Art.
contribution for,
Forget about it.
Well-
We gotta build a building
Who's
first.
this
But that's
cost estimator?
I
I
can
wanna
just-
know.
that's exactly the kind of feedback we're looking for in terms
Oh,
of design.
I don't
Right.
even wanna go there. I don't want anybody to get home with this, because
Should we
we're.
return
I think
it?
it's, yeah.
Yes.
we should just return
I
it.
think this should go off to a subcommittee.
I think we have to have a process.
I think this is
And my first request is that we as a committee request that the council doesn't get this in January.
It's in draft form, we're not accepting.
It's draft.
It's totally draft form, but we either need the committee to work with staff to do that,
We wanna
We're
do
gonna,
that.
we're gonna.
or-
You're gonna want us.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna set
want a
It's gonna
subcommittee,
take-
but
we need guidance.
I agree.
I mean,
So-
we asked our consultant to be conservative with the contingencies that she applied and where she applied them because we have no information.
conservative means big number.
I
Yeah.
would even support having an outside consultant look at those numbers.
But for what reason? Because we've
That
got.
was
Yeah,
an
we've
outside
got-
consultant.
we have an-
And it's
That was
now
an
a
outside
mess.
consultant.
So I
And
think
we can also come back with we
No, I think
Mike,
what we need to do is, okay. The recommendation is that we are going to put it off until February to
Mhm.
present to council. We need to form an ad hoc committee to work with staff to go through those numbers and pull out things that, like, art, that things that, you know, and pull it out in such a way that we can clearly see what library costs are,
Mhm.
what site improvement costs are, what garage costs are, and, you know, hone that down. And whether or not it's more cost effective to do a 2-story building or a 1-story building. I think that's important.
We
Well-
now need to look at, see, that the numbers are so bad, we need to look at ways to make this thing work, to raise money to do it. And it may not be, now, this is a beautiful, I'm not looking at this saying, this is beautiful, maybe we can't afford this thing.
Let's don't get there yet, let's look.
No, but we need to look at the
Let's go
options,
through
so
them.
we know what.
So, okay, so, can I get a motion, can we do that, Dee Dee?
So I move that we ask the council to postpone the discussion of this until your February meeting.
Okay, let's just do that one first.
Well, I don't think you actually need to ask the council to do that. It won't be ready in January if we haven't had the committee's
But
input.
our committee is agreeing to that, is that right? Can we do a
Yes.
second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a second, and, all in favor?
All right.
Okay, so we're postponing
The
that.
next motion is that we form a subcommittee, work with the staff on the cost estimates that they've given us so that we can organize and make them more understandable, reduce the numbers, and more workable for us.
Okay,
I think we want to get into a one-page summary.
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
get there,
oh,
but we-
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But we need guidance on where you wanna be. I mean, there is a way to approach
So,
this
so
backwards too.
what we're gonna do is form an ad hoc committee, and we're gonna call it the cost, estimate, ad hoc committee, right?
Can I help articulate some of that? Yeah, I think you did already, but we need these numbers to say, this is the library component of it, this is what the library can pay for.
Yeah.
So all these things to include site improvements, this is how much money you've got.
Mhm.
This is the rest of it, and this is the underground parking garage, no underground parking garage, this is the differential.
That's what we got.
Right.
So divide it all up with ranges, fine tune those.
Here's a
numbers.
base project, and you
Yes.
can add all
Yes.
these, what we think
And then we
on.
need to
Right.
skinny it down to the base project.
Yeah, we need guidance on how to break up the estimate, what you wanna isolate.
So.
And we
so
need
our ad hoc
guidance on
committee-
what you don't want in the budget, or what you want to reduce.
That'll be the direction of the ad hoc committee.
Correct.
Okay, so, I'm gonna ask for some volunteers before I choose who's gonna be the ad hoc committee people. Steve, we can do
Just gonna be
three. We can do three.
We have Dee Dee, Steve Dostart,
And Rose, we can do three. Clyde, do you wanna be on this?
I could be on
Rose?
Rose is gonna do it.
Rose will do it.
Rose will do it. Clyde? Can we do four?
no, that's unless you want it to be a public meeting, as you do that, you can do four, but
You wanna have an alternate in
Yes,
case?
definitely.
you
Well,
can't do that on
an ad hoc committee?
no, because they'll be given all the same information, that'll be forwarded, it'll be public.
Right.
So,
Are you okay then?
Yeah.
So it is.
Okay.
So what did we end up with? Who was on the committee? I don't know.
Wanted Beauty and Steve.
It's your call. We serve at your pleasure.
Well,
well, we don't even know what's gonna happen with council members the next meeting, so.
well, for right now, let's say between now and Rose, you feel that you've got enough time to do that? Okay.
January is January.
Okay,
So Dee Dee, Steve, and Rose. Perfect.
okay. So we did that. Okay.
So, just a suggestion, we're gonna give the subcommittee a copy of that report,
Of the draft
of the
report.
draft report, let them cogitate on it a little bit over the holiday, and then we'll start a meeting in January.
But our consultants will still be working
Yes.
with, and I'll work with them to look at what issues can be, we have a little.
Right, and provide feedback as we go along.
Is it appropriate to ask that we do not advertise these numbers until they've really been worked on?
They're draft at this point,
They're
so yeah,
draft.
they're internal
I
documents.
wouldn't want them
I'm
out
saying
there.
for our own benefit of everybody in this room, because I'm like Jim, worried about what will happen with this.
Well, another way to do it, Dee Dee, that, on film, public meeting, is that we looked at the numbers, they're too high.
Yeah.
We have acknowledged they're too high, so we put together a subcommittee to go look at them and come back with ideas on how to bring them down.
Right. Right.
So
That's
that's
why
what
it's
we're
a
doing.
draft.
Good.
And
That'll
it's
be
an
helpful.
all-in draft, so
Yeah.
you know all the thinking that went into it,
Mhm.
so you have everything you need in front of you, including the plan, the program, and the costs, so that you can guide us how we need to break it apart, reduce it, and then recapture it for
The
presentation.
one thing that might not be in there, sorry, I interrupted you.
I was gonna say, I don't think we want to say anything. My tendency is, if you say that we looked at it and the numbers were too high, and we put a subcommittee together to try and reduce them, it gives the wrong impression.
So we're still working on it. We're
Well,
in the process of.
that's the truth.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's absolutely the truth, and it's been filmed, and that's what we've got.
That's the truth.
So-
Reviewing a draft.
We
Truth
we
can
look
be
at it,
stated in a lot of different ways.
the truth is that we said, no, we're not accepting this draft, and we're. you
Want to
know,
work on
I love
it.
the
You gotta work on it.
The thing that
Okay,
would be
so-
valuable to us, the subcommittee,
Uh-huh.
is when that underground parking in the option would come out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanna get that,
How much
because you're going
surface
to need
parking
that.
do we need to
Yes, we
add?
need to see
Right.
what it, at what
But, and here's the part that you gotta think about. Assume we're not doing contractor parking.
Right,
How many spaces do we really need? So you're gonna
Right.
need to talk to staff about, aside from contractor parking,
we already have that.
what are you really parking out there?
We already have that in the
Okay.
program, so we know that answer
Because
already.
it may not be
We
one
don't
for
have to
one.
do that today.
No,
Garage is done.
and we have
There's
that,
no one-
and we
okay.
can apply that, and so
Okay.
that's fine, we'll make sure that that's clear and we'll just capture it in the program.
Okay, all right, so moving on. We,
Can I tell you why I'm optimistic?
no. Do we have any ad hoc committee reports or discussion? We did an outreach, our outreach ad hoc committee. We've got as many people to the outreach meeting as possible. We don't have any other jobs to do at this point. All right?
No, we have one job.
No, the outreach committee.
No.
Okay, and formation, we already did that, so any other committee members want to make a comment? Steve, you want to tell me why you're
Yes.
optimistic?
I'm optimistic because there is no freaking way that building's gonna be 62,000.
Absolutely.
Oh, no,
That is a big building.
because of the garage.
It's 30,000.
Even with the garage,
It's 30,000.
it's really big.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, that thing got it, we're early, I'm thrilled that we could fit it on the plan.
Yeah,
And I'm confident we can find a way to give it a dive.
yeah, okay.
One last comment, and I'm very sorry, I'm trying to get after. The work of this committee at this point is on the master plan, and for that master plan, we can use general fund money, and we can use library money, et cetera. Once it moves to the next phase, we can no longer use
Can
general fund
I
money.
ask you a question about that specifically? The next phase is environmental for a period of months.
The next phase is environmental and design, yeah.
Okay, and, well, environmental though,
Oh, yeah.
it could be, is that part of this, so we could be raising money during the environmental process to move on to the next
Mhm,
phase?
mhm.
Yeah, you can raise,
That's my-
you can start raising money now.
I'm not raising money yet because I'm gonna be asked how much it costs.
Absolutely.
You're in it. You're in
And
it.
there's no answer right now.
Right,
I have one comment on that,
Yes,
on the
sir.
fundraising. George, you just mentioned you could use some of the library money to do such and such. Don't even say that these days, because there are people out there just waiting
Yeah.
for us to say, we use the library. I told you you were gonna
Well, we can use
steal the
it at this
library
point.
money.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
and there's funds from the building department.
$2 million.
Right,
2.3.
that we can use for bridge money.
Yeah, there's bridge money along the way, but I just want to make sure everybody was aware.
But you have to have a source to be paid, right?
Yeah, we're stopping.
For the portion that's not for
So
building.
the goal is to, when the council has looked at the master plan, they, I guess, accepted it, because the environmental process happens then.
Right.
That's the time to really go out and come back with some money that can then be used to straighten your general fund. Okay, so,
I have one thing, Chairman. I'd like to ask our resident dual here, you didn't have any comments in the beginning because you didn't know much about the project. But after seeing the site and walking the site, are there any issues or concerns that we haven't addressed?
None whatsoever. I think this plan is great. I think it's very nice.
Just wanted to give you a chance.
I'm not sure how much space is actually needed for the city admin building. Maybe it can be reduced. I think it's a great layout.
Great, okay. So, any other comments? Any in the meeting? Adjourned. Thank you, okay. All right, happy holidays.
Collect all of that.
See you later.